Welcome to r/EntitledParents. In today's stories, Ian wants me to stop treating my young adult children as adults. Entitled Grandma tries to take my Nintendo Switch on an aeroplane for her grandson, gets called out by several passengers. The best Entitled Parent Showdown ever. And Ian thinks reserved for customers with kids parking spots aren't for me and my child. What is up, guys, and I do hope you're well. You have to excuse if the audio is a bit different today because I'm in the middle of nowhere in France. I'm trying to actually record outside right now, so yeah, bear with me, but I want to get this spicy content out for you guys. If you do like this content, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe button, and maybe even notification bell. And with that being said, let's get started. Our first story is from Karma Cookie. Ian wants me to stop treating my young adult children as adults. Obligatory on my mobile. English is my first language. Feel free to point out any grammatical errors. So a little backstory is in order. I have two young adult children living at home, ages 18 and 19. They both work and go to college. I trust my kids. I trust their decision making skills. When they graduated high school and turned 18, new rules went into place. No curfew. Just call me and let me know if you're going to be out all night so I don't worry. You can call me at any time for a pickup, no questions asked. Just don't be stupid and drink and drive. Yes, your SO can sleep over or come over at the weekend. Just let me know what's going on. Pay a small rent during the summer when you are working full time and pay your part on the car insurance. You have your clothes, I have mine. We all work together. I tell them if they are being assholes and they listen. In turn, I listen to them. There's very little fighting or arguing in my house. That is their time to spread their wings and learn how to be responsible adults and have me as a safety net. Lately, one of my kids' SOs have been spending a lot of time over at my house. He's pretty much here all the time. 2 days ago, I got a phone call from a number I didn't recognise, and it was my daughter's boyfriend's mother. Me, EM, entitled mum. I said, hello? You need to tell my kid he isn't allowed over your house anymore. Who is this? This is Tommy's mother. I already know where this is going. Oh, Tommy's mum. I have to say, you have raised a great kid. He is always polite and respectful, in fact. And she interrupts. Look, I don't care what you think about my kid. He is never at home. He isn't spending any time with me. I say, okay, there isn't much I can do about that. She says, yes there is. Tell him he can't come over to your house anymore. I want him home. And you set a bad example for my son. Your daughter has no curfew and I'm sick and tired of how here and how nice it is at your house. I miss him so much. I want him home. Me speaking very lowly and basically growling into the phone. Are you done yelling at me? I think I stunned her into silence. I will take that as a yes. Do you trust the way you raised your son? Ian replies, what? I said, it's a simple question. Do you trust the way you raised your son? Of course I do. What does that have to do with anything? Do you trust him to make good decisions? Yes, of course. She is starting to calm down now. I say, mother to mother, I know things are not okay at your house right now. Her husband drinks a lot. I'm trying to give your child a safe place when things are not okay at your house. She starts to cut me off at this point, but I won't let her. It's not your fault. The EM is silent. I say, he throws your son out for days at a time sometimes, doesn't he? She says, yes. I can hear her choking back the tears. Do you need someone to talk to? Would you like to go out to lunch? That way you can feel safer knowing whose house your son is at, that he is safe. She said, that would be okay. We're on the phone for about an hour after that. What started out was just Ian was just a scared woman feeling very, very alone. Sorry there wasn't any righteous retribution, but I think it turned out okay. I'm going to try and get a 19-year-old Tommy's curfew changed from 10 PM to midnight, and maybe he can stay over for the weekend. My God, what can you say about that? You know, there's obviously something going on over at the other house. For the mum to feel that way, she's obviously in a bad situation and uses him as a safety net, which obviously isn't okay. But, you know, you can only feel sorry for the woman in this situation. Our next story is from Mundek. Entitled Grandma tries to take my Nintendo Switch on an aeroplane for her grandson, gets called out by several passengers. Mobile. This took place about a month ago, and I recently realised it was literally the perfect entitled parent story. So here we are. Of course, dialogue isn't exact for something that happened a month ago, but it's close enough and it's what I remember. So I was taking a trip to Texas across the country to see some family, As entertainment through the flight, I decided to bring my Nintendo Switch so I could play Dark Souls for the 6 or so hours. Getting on the plane, it was quite full, so I ended up sitting in the aisle seat next to, of course, a woman and her grandchild. Once we were finished taking off, pulled out the table thing in front of me and propped my Nintendo Switch up in tabletop mode. Basically, the tablet was on the table and I was holding the Joy-Cons separately. A while into my play session, e.g. entitled Grandma taps me on the shoulder. She says, "Hey, my grandson is bored and we're wondering if we could borrow your tablet." I only had Dark Souls with me for one thing, and this kid looked about 7. He wouldn't get very far anyway, despite the fact it's probably too scary for someone his age. And another thing, I really wasn't wanting a little kid using my rather new system, so all I had to say was, "No, I'm sorry Mom, I was planning on using it for this flight, and the game would be most likely too hard for him anyway." Because this is an r/entitled parents, of course she didn't respect the answer, exactly what you'd expect. The EG said, "You're not really going to let a bored and scared kid borrow your game on a long flight. It's not like he's keeping it or he'll break it. We'll make sure to take care of it." I said, "No, I'm sorry. I don't want him to be scared and I'm worried I'll lose some stuff if I let him." "I'm not shitting you." Literally after that she grabs my Switch from the table and puts it in his lap. Of course, it won't work without the controllers anyway though. I said, "Seriously? You're going to take my stuff like that?" Next to me, 2 guys and a couple women in different rows next to each other who've been talking to each other the whole flight begin to notice and help me out. Cast NG nice guy, NW nice woman is all that's needed. The nice guy says, "Hey, what the hell do you think you're doing taking his stuff? You need to give that back now." The grandma said, "Are you all serious? Honestly, have a heart. He just wanted something to do." The nice woman says, "We all saw what you did. He told you no and you took it anyway. You shouldn't be doing that. We need more people like this." They've been talking to each other in a group the whole flight, so it's not like they just started all talking out of nowhere. "If you don't give it back, we'll have to call the flight attendant over to deal with it." With an angry sigh, the EG put my Switch face down on the table and for the rest of the trip gave dirty looks as the kid slept in the seat next to her. Getting off the plane, I thanked the group of people who helped me out, because honestly, I would have been too awkward to go and grab it back. We had a laugh about it in the terminal, and in the end, it got to be a fast trip. You know, it's been a while since we've had a Nintendo Switch story, so I'm glad there's one come back. But yeah, as we always say, like entitled parents, grandmas, whatever, they attach themselves to these devices. Hide them at all costs, guys. Our next story is from Nordenfeld. I think I don't know if I got it right. Best entitled parent shutdown ever. Ideally wish I could claim this was me, or even a relative, so I could claim this degree of clever was in my genes, but it was not. It was a bouncer at a small town club, and when he made the comment, there weren't even the expected cinematic "ooh" or "what" one would expect, just a dead, echoing silence from about 40 onlookers. No need for a cast. How dumb are you? This mother and daughter pair were trying to get into the club late in the evening. The daughter was clearly young and actually reasonably attractive in a quite a nice, fashionable, as best my fashion blind eyes can tell, outfit. The mother was not even obese, but certainly overweight, and had been shoehorned her corpulence into hot pants and a tank top that would have been trashy on a supermodel. And friends, she was no supermodel. Basically dyed stringy hair, cheap bulky jewellery, spray on orange skin, or the trailer trimmings. I didn't hear how the exchange started, but clearly these two were trying to cut head of the line. This bouncer, the massive action figure of a black man with an oddlish babyish face and the patience of Job, had denied this effort. Hilarity ensued. The daughter threw a few verbal jabs, but seemed to just be mildly irritated. The sideshow hooker of a mother lost her bloody mind, shrieking racial epithets that would curl the ear hair of a plantation owner, and every horrific name you care or do not care to imagine. Interspersed with the expected, "Do you know who I am?" and "get me the owner," etc. The bouncer just stood there and didn't react with anything but polite direction. Downright heroic. After a few minutes of this vile screeching, the daughter is now embarrassed as hell and trying to pull the mother away. People are gathering to watch and the whole thing has become a spectator sport. The bouncer just politely kept saying, "You'll need to go to the back of the line like anyone else, ma'am," or variations of that theme. By now the woman wasn't even trying to argue the point, just squealing the revolting, and at this point, quite repetitive, insults. Then she screamed that he's an awful bouncer and would get fired that night. Then she tried to slap the bouncer. She missed, quite badly, at which point the bouncer took a single step forward. She fell back with a shriek, and said quite loudly, "Mum, at any point tonight, have I ever told you to suck off flabby obese old men in the alley for £5 a shot?" Clearly baffled, she said nothing but sputtered, He continued, "No, Mum, I've never said anything like that, not once, so don't tell me how to do my job." Dead silence, like 40 people in the street, not a sound. She had a couple more things and scuttled away with her daughter, dragging her by the arm. It's been over a decade, but I still want to go and find that bouncer and buy him a drink. Bouncers, I know there's some really dodgy bouncers out there, but you gotta have the patience of a saint for that job. I remember being drunk in a club last night and I talk I'm polite about it, but I talk absolute crap to them. And they just laugh and shoo me out of the way pretty much. And our last story is from Papa Bear 21. EM thinks reserved for customers with kids parking spots aren't for me and my child. This happened this past weekend while grocery shopping with my 18-month-old child. Not as bad as some of the others in the sub, but I thought it belonged here. The town I live at is a big community fest each year on the main street. It's a typical New England type of main street in that it's actually two different one-way streets with a big field in the middle. The small number of available parking spots around the area are usually taken by vendors, so the town offers a shuttle service from the local grocery store, which is about a mile away. This, in turn, makes parking tough at the grocery store, so I made sure I had to get there early. The store has a parking for customers with children spots in a couple of rows. It's pretty convenient because it's 4 spots on one side with a cart pickup/return in the middle. Instead of trying to carry my kid, the diaper bag and the reusable shopping bags into the store to grab a cart, they're all right there. All this is important. Players are me, EM and store manager, SM. I was lucky enough to grab one of the kids' spots Saturday morning, which was great because there weren't many other spots available, if any. I was in the process of loading my kid into the cart when it started. The EM said, "Excuse me." I goes about my business because I have no idea she's talking to me. The EM said, "Excuse me." I look around and realise she's talking to me and say, "What's up?" "You're parked in the wrong spot." I gesture to the sign. "These are for customers with children." At this point I gear myself up for an argument about how they're not for dads with children, which is a disagreement a friend of mine said he got into once. The EM said, "It says children, but you have one child. Children means 2 or more." I smile. I think we both know it means customers who have their kid with them. The EM says, "It means customers with 2 children or more. You have to park somewhere else." I start pushing my cart and child towards the store. I'm not moving. EM starts shrieking, and I mean shrieking to the point where I made my child jump. "That spot is not for you and for one kid. It's for people like me with 2 kids. At this point I decided to stop engaging and just get into the store. I'm not trying to get into a parking lot dispute with my 18-month-old child with me. Hell no. I was almost there when she started blasting the horn. Not just beeping it, but laying on it, so it was just a constant horn sound. The EM shouted, "Get your effing car out of that spot or I'll have the manager tow it." I got into the store just as the manager was heading out. He heard the yelling and beeping and asked what was happening. I told him the truth. Some crazy lady was pissy because I parked in the spot for customers with kids. He looked at me, looked at my child, and then back outside, where EM had just parked across 2 handicapped parking spots. Out of her SUV climbed 2 children who looked to be about 10 to 12 years old. SM sees this and runs out. The store manager said, "Mum, you can't park in a handicapped spot without a handicap sticker. You'll get a ticket." The EM said, "I don't give a crap. There's no other spots and some arsehole is taking up the kids' parking spots with only 1 kid." At this point the doors closed and I couldn't hear anything else. Thankfully, I didn't run into her while shopping, which was probably a small miracle. 45 minutes later I was heading out the door and see a cop next to the lady's SUV and he's writing her a ticket. The state I'm in is a $150 fine for the first violation and $250 after that. I'm not sure if taking 2 spots equal 2 fines, but she's probably lucky her car wasn't towed. Hopefully the cop wrote 2 tickets, one for $150 and the other for $250. Oh my word. I've never actually thought of those spots as because it says children, you have to have more than one. Who actually takes that literally, apart from that person? How stupid is that? Oh my word, there is really no hope for us. Anyway guys, I really hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, maybe hit that subscribe button, that notification bell, and share the video around, as it really helps me pushing content out for this channel. I've got some big plans ahead, so yeah, stay tuned. Much love guys, take care now, goodbye.